Hey, it's Joy. Welcome back to another WHIMSY Stamps video. Today I am sharing an Inky rainbow background and I'm using the Unicorn Kisses stamp set from WHIMSY. I chose 3 dye inks. You could be any name brand, it doesn't matter. Here I'm using Color Hive inks in the colors of Pink Flamingo, Yellowstone, and Blueberry Raspberry. Again, you could use any dye ink or any version of red, yellow, and blue, or pink, yellow, and blue. So I swiped the pink first, and then I did the yellow so that it wouldn't contaminate my pad, and then I did the blue. And I generously sprayed that with my distress sprayer. Now I want to mention that I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper so that we get this painterly watercolor effect. So once I get a good spray on that, then I use my heat gun to dry it. I think it's really important to dry in between layers. That way you preserve some of the texture underneath. I then repeat this process 2 more times, and I am sporadically putting down color. This time I'm only putting down the pink and the blue. But on the 3rd one, I do go back with the yellow, and I just work that back and forth until I get enough ink on there. Obviously, the harder you press and the more ink you lay down, the more vibrant your background's going to become. So I do clean up my glass board so that I kind of keep my desk a little bit clean. And then I come right back in with that distress sprayer, and you're going to see I spray some of it, and then I kind of tip it off to get some of that running, and then I go back and dry and repeat my process. So, like I said, I am using the Unicorn Kisses stamp set. That will be linked in the description box below if you are interested in any of the WHIMSY products. I am stamping that in a black dye ink because I'm going to do some simple Copic coloring. And by simple, I mean really simple. I chose some colors that would match my background, and I chose to color just the horn of the unicorn. And I started out with my lightest color. It was a B02, a Y13, and an RV23 for my pinks. And I repeated those down the horn in alternating colors. And like I said, this is just a 2-color blend. This is simple, easy peasy. From there, I then bring in my darker colors, which is a B05, a Y19, and an RV, I think it's a 29 that I end up using for the pink. Yep, it is. And I'm just putting that on each side and leaving the middle a highlight. That way we get the illusion that this is a rounded object. Very simple. And then I decide to only color the unicorn using a C1 and a C3. So that way we get the illusion of some color, but we're not spending all day coloring this unicorn. I do concentrate on the eyes, and I start out with the C3, and I put in a really good shadow so that we get a rounded eye. And then I blend that out with a C1, just so that it's not as harsh. And what that does is it gives the illusion that the eye is rounded and that there's some emotion in the eye. I also later on take a gel pen and add a few flicks through the pupils, and you probably won't see that. I think I did that off camera. Now I'm using the same C3, and I am just adding some shadows in, like where the ear is and around the muzzle of the unicorn's face. And I am sporadically putting this in. I am not paying attention to light source. I'm not paying attention to, a lot of the shadows. I'm just trying to give this a little bit of dimension. Really, this is a beginner's Copic friendly project, and I highly recommend it. You could use any alcohol markers, whether they're Olos, Ohuhu, Spectrum Noir. It's all going to be the same. Then I come in with my R20 for the cheeky color, and I give his muzzle a little bit of color and his ears. And then I call my coloring done. I am now taking the selfie die set and I'm framing him. And I'm cutting him out so that the rectangle's there. And then I cut the frame with 2 pieces of 110-pound black cardstock. And then I'm using my Barely Art glue to layer those up just so that we have a little bit of dimension. Again, nothing super hard here. It's just a way to add some fun elements to a card. Now I will mention that my watercolor panel was 4.5 by 6, so I did take a 1/2 inch off of each side, and then I used the extreme postage die to with the largest rectangle to get that fun edge. And now I'm mounting that onto a white card base so that again we have a little bit of interest going on. I'm using some mint tape. You could use any kind of tape to hold the white in, and that's because I'm going to pop up the entire phone with foam tape. Otherwise you could just inlay that and not worry about taping that up. Now, because I did pop that up with foam tape, I did a really cool thing with the button of the phone. I used the white piece from my original die cut where he was stamped on, and I end up inlaying that into the hole so it looks like one of the original phones that we were used to several releases ago. Anyhow, I think that was a fun element. You could leave this out if you wanted to, but it really is easy. Hey, I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love creating cards with you. I love showing you my inky fingers and all of my antics. So if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, considering liking and subscribing to the channel, it really does help the Whimsy channel, and mine for that matter, to be seen a little bit more. So thank you for hanging out with us. Now I am die cutting the sage cheese with the neutrals pattern background, and I didn't like the way it showed up. And then you saw me kind of waving my hand there. So then I die cut it after taking a piece of white cardstock and using that RV29 so it matches the hat, and I just glue down the selfie sentiment. And here I'm going to make some mistakes coming up that's going to make you cringe, but the card turned out fantastic. From the Array of Rainbows die set, I'm using the 3 stars, and I'm gluing those just in the upper right hand corner, just as an embellishment. I also come in with some glossy accents at the end, but here's where this card could have gone awry. I decided to use the what does this one say? Magical Wishes sentiment. So I took the mouse pad out of my MISTI because I already have foam tape on all of my elements. I ink that up. I wipe off the excess ink that I got onto my door of my MISTI, and then I stood up and I pressed really hard. That way I would get a really good impression and I wouldn't have to go back. Here are a final look at my card. I think this turned out adorable. I hope that you give this a try. Until next time, friends, keep crafting. Take care. Bye-bye.